everyone, welcome back to my January reading journal setup video. This month I wanted to go for a nightcore theme, night spelled with a K. I just have been very into the nightcore aesthetic recently, so I wanted to do something that was night themed. So you see on the left is the original sketch and color palette that I was kind of rough sketching out, and then on the right is the more finished sketch that I'm going to be working off of today. So the image that I ended up with is a knight with their head bowed over a sword that they are holding. One hand is resting on the head of a fawn, and then there is either a raven or a crow perched on their shoulder. I'm gonna go with raven. It's some kind of black bird. And as always, any images that I used for inspiration or reference, anything that helped me to sketch and create this image or any of the other sketches or doodles throughout my spreads, will be linked in the description. One of the things that I especially needed help with was figuring out how to draw the knight's head, because for one thing, drawing people is not my forte. I always have a hard time with drawing people, and drawing faces can be really hard, but especially because the knight's head is bowed, it's more difficult to get that angle and the proportions of the face correct from that angle. So the first image linked is the one where I really got the pose for the figure, and especially I copied the pose of the head and the face and hair and everything. I got a new tripod, and this is my first journaling video where I'm getting to use it. My old tripod broke, like one of the legs just broke off. So for the last month or so, I have had to like tape the leg back on, but I just got this new tripod, and one of the things that I'm really excited about is that it has a horizontal boom arm so that I can do these overhead shots more easily, which is very cool. And so far I really like it because it means that I don't have to reach around anything while I am trying to draw. I am still getting used to it though, because the place where I have the legs of the tripod is right next to me, and I kept bumping it or kicking it by accident, and it kept jiggling the camera, messing up my framing. So you'll see it changes throughout the video. So if you're wondering why the framing jumps or changes, that's why I accidentally bumped my tripod. So I'm very excited to have it, but I am definitely still getting used to it and getting used to the setup that I have with it. This year I am also trying some new materials. One of the new materials that I am using is watercolors. Previously I mostly just used inks, but I decided to get a small watercolor palette to try out just to see how it goes. I'm not planning to like get into watercolors, but more so just using the watercolors as a way to color in my drawings. And so far I think it's going okay. There are definitely things that I need to get used to, techniques I can learn, especially for blending colors. I think I need to be a little bit less afraid of using water in my watercolors because I feel like I don't really know how to control the water when I use them, but that means that the colors don't blend as easily because there isn't enough water in there. So, you know, it's my first time using watercolors for this, so we'll see how it goes and learn along the way. The color palette that I am using for this, I am now realizing is very similar to the colors that I have on my nails right now. So I think these are just colors that I am very into at the moment, especially that very orangey brown color. I am just really loving it right now, but I also really like it with the other blues and greens and things. So this is just a color palette that I'm just really feeling, and I unintentionally created the same color palette on my nails and in this piece. Another tangent is I also wanted to ask you guys what you prefer in terms of voiceover or no voiceover for these types of videos, because I'm starting these up again and I just want to know if you prefer having a voiceover where I talk through the whole video and talk about my thoughts and mistakes and things as I go through, or if you prefer no voiceover, just music, or a combination of the two, something like if I did a voiceover just at the beginning to kind of introduce the month and the theme, and then had music through the rest of the video. Anyway, I just love to know what your thoughts are or preferences are for voiceovers during these kinds of videos, so let me know in the comments. Back to the drawing. Drawing this night made me realize that I don't really have any good skin tone markers or watercolors because I never really draw people that much. So I think that's something that I am going to have to get. I did find one marker that I ended up using, but I don't think it's a very good skin tone. So I'll probably get like a pack of markers that are all like different shades of skin tones that I can use, because I want to do more night themed spreads for future months, which means I'm going to be drawing people and I gotta be able to give them skin. The color that I'm using for the background of the circle is not what I was originally planning for this. My first thought was to do a yellow background, so then I was thinking about doing gold, but I thought that would also be too different from the other colors, so I ended up doing a more bronzy color because I wanted to bring in more brown tones. So much of the drawing is gray, so the brown piece on the front of the knight's clothing looks kind of out of place, so I wanted to bring in more brown tones, so I ended up with this bronze color for the background. Now that I'm done with the cover page, while we let that dry, and get into the rest of the month's spreads, starting with a customary calendar for the month, just to keep track of what the month is looking like. I don't do a whole lot of different spreads, and my spreads don't change a lot month to month. I do have one new spread that you'll see in a minute, but my calendar page stays pretty consistent. One of the other new mediums, new materials that I am trying out this year is getting more into washi tape and stickers, because I have washi tape and stickers and I never use them. I never know what to do with them. So I'm trying out using them this year. So this is one of the places where I tried to incorporate more washi tape. My TBR page is another place where I put washi tape, although I do change the washi tape later on, which you'll see in the final flip through, because I used green washi tape and then realized that I didn't really have green anywhere else in the month's spreads and color palette, so I changed it to a blue washi tape. I also put these little sword doodles to kind of pull the night theme into the rest of the spreads. I do feel like this TBR page needs a little bit more something to it. It looks a little empty, so I'm not going to change it this month, but maybe in future months I'll have to think about how to fill up the page, either with other spreads or with more doodles or something. Then we have my reading log page, just where I keep track of all of my reading for the month, and I went for a sun/starburst theme here. Then this is the new spread, which I am trying out, which is a monthly stats spread. And then at the top I did a raven doodle to kind of pull in the raven imagery from the cover page. And I decided not to color in the whole raven because that would have made it really difficult to write the title of the page. So I just filled in like the head and the wing tips to make them more visible. I used to have this page as just my favorite book of the month, but I always felt like that looked really empty. So I still have a box to track my favorite book of the month, but I also am now going to be tracking how many books I read, the number of pages read, my average star rating, the format that I read in, whether I read mostly physical, audio, or ebooks, and then my goal genres read. So my goal genres for the year are to read more sci-fi and historical fiction. I'm really focusing on sci-fi, but historical fiction too. So I am gonna make this into a pie chart to see what percent of my reading is sci-fi, historical fiction, or just all other genres. And then we have my haul page. This is another one that I change later that you'll see in the flip through. I just changed the outline to a darker brown. All right, so we are now on to the final flip through. I really love the way that this month turned out. I love the color palette, and I really like the washi tape. So I am glad that I tried using it this month. As I said, there are some places where I think I'm going to add things in future months to make things look a little bit fuller, but I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Let me know what you think about voiceovers for these videos in the future, but thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!